Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of the Medical Mindset Coach podcast. And I am your host, Star Freudenberg. For those of you, if this is the first time you're joining in and you don't know me and who I am and what I'm all about, I am operating as a holistic doctor working in the field of helping people achieve health, nutrition, energy, lifestyle, and really getting yourself back to your optimum functioning levels, dealing with people with diseases, maybe just people want to do maintenance, but just really getting you back to the point of where you want to be. And I do that all naturally. So it's really an inspiration of trying to help and also teach what maybe you might call the olden ways or the ways of the ancient ones, where there's knowledge that's so vast and so deep that have been practiced for thousands of years. In comparison, where Western medicine is only a couple of hundred years, just trying to sort of bring that back in because we can naturally achieve ways of healing and also long-lasting success of achievement as well. Whereas typically people might go to Western medicine and then they might have a problem and then they have to take a couple of pills. And then all of a sudden they're on this hamster wheel that now that pill creates another problem and they're just continuing this evil cycle until eventually the body does give up or isn't strong enough to handle basic things anymore, and then you might just get wiped out by a flu. So the work that I like to do is obviously help people kickstart a holistic approach where we do adjust everything from A to Z, whether that's your mindset, that's your lifestyle, that's your diet, that's your certain behaviors, certain patterns, certain habits. And we correct all of those things. And that's sort of the work that I specialize in to be able to do and help you with that. So I can pull upon broad range of knowledge or even refer you to people who I think might be appropriate for you and your needs and then get you there. So again, the purpose of this podcast is just every episode just to give a little bit of information out there that, should be common information, common knowledge, but not really, and it's not really out there or not, just again with the technological advancement that, okay, it's just so much out there that we don't even know where to look, how to look, and even what is right anymore. Because if you go on Google, famous Mr. Google, Dr. Google, you can find pros and cons of opposing opinions to the same thing. So then you think, okay, well, what's the right answer anymore? So we don't really know. And that's where we need to actually go to experts and say, okay, great. Please tell me, what do you know? What has worked? And, always working with experience, I always think is the number one winner of it all. So today's episode is going to be more of something that I'm going to read to you. It's quite an informative thing that I've got from the NHS because recently, in the recent weeks, I have received a few patients who have recently, gone through, the unfortunate experience of having cancer. But in the particular with the clients that I've been working with who have, women, of course, had cervical cancer. So a lot of people don't really know much about it. And again, just like many things, cancer is kind of a taboo subject that, it's quite common, it's quite popular. A lot of people have it. I'm sure pretty much everyone knows someone who has had it or has passed away from it. But again, there's not this sort of proactive thing about let's teach you about cancer. Let's get you to know that if these kinds of signs and symptoms pop up, please go get it checked out. Because the idea is prevention is better than cure, because at the end of the day, you can, target it, find it when symptoms arise and not let it get to sort of a metastasized state where it's just all over the body and you can't reverse it. Then of course that's going to, be so much more beneficial to the individual themselves. So interestingly, as timing happened, after having these couple of clients, I did receive in the post myself a letter from the NHS that does say, or does invite you as a woman to go get a screening. So just a couple of tests that you can go and get checked and then see everything's okay. So I thought today would be a good little opportunity just to read out. They have a wonderful brochure, very well informed, to be able to just give some guidance and clarity to, and even if you are a man or a male listening to this, that's okay, because of course you have females around you, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's in your family, whether it's your friends. And, again, just become the sort of role model or the person of awareness or observation, that if someone's going like, oh, I'm experiencing da 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 da, then you can say, actually, well, I've just heard about da 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 da. Maybe you should go get that checked out because it could potentially be this. And then you might have actually been, the guardian angel, if you will, having potentially saved someone's life, So the more we are all informed and based as a community, then we can all help each other. And that will just get us hopefully into a better place and space in this world today, where we're not going to all be suffering all the time and we can actually live happily and healthily, because it just seems that as the years go by, everyone seems to be having problems, low immune systems, weakness around the body, and not being able to do things as once, as you once were. And that's quite the common thing that I get when people come in to, work with me. So this is going to basically be a read and tell, I suppose, but this is the kind of letter that you will receive from the NHS, which, the headline or the heading will be Cervical Screening Administration Service. So it goes like this. We are writing to invite you for NHS cervical screening, or previously called the smear test. We offer screening to help prevent cervical cancer and to save lives. Yes, yes, yes. If you're registered with your GP practice, you can contact them to make an appointment. And in some areas, local sexual health clinics may also offer screening. So the one that I commonly know in London is in Paddington. And it's called the St. Geoffrey's Wing Sexual Health Clinic. So that's quite a common one that people go to. But of course, if you live outside of London, anywhere locally, again, just phone your GP and you'll be able to register and get an appointment, because they do take this very seriously. And they want to just make sure everyone is okay and healthy. So, and again, it's not something that you have to pay for. So please, just grant yourself the liberty and time just to be able to take a few minutes, right? So the test will only take a few minutes, and you can ask for a female nurse or doctor as well. We invite women aged 25 to 64, whether or not they are registered with a GP. You should consider having surgical screening regardless of your sexual orientation, sexual history, or whether you have had the human papillomavirus or HPV vaccination. Cervical screening now tests for HPV. HPV can cause changes in the cells of the cervix. So if we find HPV in your screening sample, then we can check it for abnormal cells. By finding and treating these early, keyword early, we can prevent most cases of cervical cancer. So please read the enclosed leaflet about cervical screening, even if you have had a screening before. This leaflet is to help you decide whether to have the test. More information is also available at the www.nhs.uk/cervical. We will send you your screening result to you by post. The nurse or the doctor who does your screening will tell you when you can expect to get your letter, and they will also get a copy. So please make sure you tell them about any changes to your address. So now there's quite a nice system, probably again how technological advancement has happened since post-COVID, that you'll have sort of this online platform or portal that you'll just get an email and say, okay, you've received a letter from your GP. You'll click on it and then you'll just have this online access to see your letter, any appointments that have been made or registered at hospitals, whether they'll hold a telephonic conversation with you, or it's just a simple email, or if you'll be called into a hospital to do an appointment for follow-up, for example. Cervical screening cannot prevent every cervical cancer. Cancer can start to develop in between screening tests. So if you have any symptoms such as, so red flags here, bleeding between periods, after sex or after menopause, or changes to vaginal discharge, please see a doctor as soon as possible. If you have any concerns or questions about cervical screening, please ask your healthcare provider. And this is sent by the cervical screening program on behalf of the GP. Great. So that's the letter that you receive. So NHS cervical screening, so helping you to decide whether you need one or not.